I will play well. We've mentioned the fact that there's 9 Catalan Dragons in the 17, but can the 4 that they've had to select from the local competition? Remember, their competition finished some while ago, so they will not be up to game fitness. Now, can they last the full 80 minutes? If they can, Thomas Bosch with a boot could prove to be the difference, but I think it'll be the English that will win.
As a reminder of the England team that is being transmitted now to viewers in France, and it's a strong side, Steve-O, but Barry McDermott hinted about this at the top of the programme and went to him at the JJB Stadium. It's a generation since Wigan last did not have a player in an England side, never mind an England squad.
Amazing, isn't it? And I think that tonight at the JJB Stadium, which you can see later tonight, of course, Fielden, Coley, Hock, they're all 3 international players. Now, they realise they'll have their minds on the game, but they'll also be thinking about the fact that the English boys are down there in France. This is a golden opportunity for them to play exceptionally well, because they've only got a quarter of the season left to push to be selected on that plane down under. Everybody thought that Tony Smith perhaps may change a few things. He may experiment. He hasn't. He wants the best side. We said it on Boots and All a few weeks ago. He has to pick the best available, and that was important, and that is what he's done. He's picked the players in form.
And he's yet to lose an international, of course, as a coach. Tony Smith played for, won for. John Money, he won 3 of 5 internationals last year as the French coach. And actually, I think his record is 50-50. Played 14, won 7, lost 7. So here is a coach, obviously, who knows his way around not only the domestic game, but the international scene as well.
You look at his CV, it's quality all the way through. And you must also say that this man has transformed our national team. There'll be no messing around off the field of play. I can assure you, he will make them play hard tonight.
Well, let's hope so. It's a big test, this, for England and Tony Smith. The build-up begins for the World Cup here tonight. France in the same World Cup group as Scotland and Fiji. England, of course, in Group A, the big one, with Australia, New Zealand and Papua New Guinea. Here are the national anthems. After the anthems, we'll hear from Bill Arthur and Phil Clark.
Toulouse on the banks of the River Garonne, and the Stade Toulousain, or Ernest Wallon, depends what you want to call it locally, but the Stade Toulousain looking in great shape, and the French team just taking a moment for a team photo, but before then I think there will be a minute's applause for a significant figure in the history of rugby league. Raoul Barrière, Paul Barrière, I think as he's known on our side of the channel, but Raoul Barrière, as he's known in this part of the world, who was instrumental in launching the World Cup concept in 1954, died a few weeks ago, and on this night of International Rugby League, fittingly, there will be a minute's applause for Raoul Barrière, which will be observed by the crowd here at Stade Toulousain, and by the England spectators, and by the England players. So the French team, with just maybe a little G-up, but always something special about a historical reminder. And Raoul Barrière, as I said, instrumental in launching the World Cup concept. France are going to come out firing, aren't they? They've got to, Phil.
Some nations have the ability to lift to a higher level when they pull on that international jersey, and the Kiwis have done it successfully in recent times. The French Rugby League has traditionally risen when they've faced either of the international opponents. Tonight here they have a massive test on their hands, slightly hampered by the withdrawal of some key players, but here with a healthy crowd behind them and in excellent conditions, we'll get to see what they have to offer.
Yes, 3 debutants in this French side, Kitabi among them because of the injury problems faced by John Monie, but that really doesn't matter to this England side, who are about to get this game underway and are awaiting the signal from referee Jason Robinson, the Australian official whose last game in charge was Canberra against Brisbane. Tonight he's in charge of France against England, and Kevin Sinfield gets the game underway. A deep restart and a little pass the parcel there to Oliver Elimer, and a big hit, a big reception committee from the English.
An excellent kick-off by Kevin Sinfield. You know, that's probably one of the reasons why he is in this side. He kicks the ball so well from restarts of play as such, or even tactically as well during play. As France look to shift it wide early in this match, Ragan now up towards the 20-metre line.
Yes, some significant involvement from the Catalan Dragons in this side. Sébastien Ragan among them, but among the absentees, the influential Jérôme Guisset, who's out. Maxime Gressek also unavailable for the French. Christophe Molly, another big hit by the English, making their presence felt here early on. And Wellens in the shadow on the pitch, and the shadow's lengthening here. Runs that ball back towards the French defenders.
Well, some excellent kick pressure there by primarily Jamie Peacock, the captain. It's been a very, very good opening minute by England. It's a good start, good chase, great control in all of the tackles, and then Morley takes them forward. One of the things we saw with Tony Smith's influence on the International Rugby League was the creation and inventiveness of the side. I don't doubt we'll see some of that again tonight.
And here's the England captain, Jamie Peacock, and Jason Robinson pulling out the French for offside there, and they were right in front of him. He had a perfect opportunity to see.
Well, he's waited till the tackle's completed, blown the whistle, and Kevin Sinfield puts the ball into touch. Here's England's first opportunity to perhaps get over that line.
Roby and Morley now. Morley 3 to bring him down, just about 8 metres out, struggling to play the ball because of Elmer's attentions. Rob Burrow for Leon Price, recovered from that injury, and opportunity out wide here, first of the game for Gardner, or was it? Great tackle on the far side by Cyril Stakoul, but did it prevent Adi Gardner getting the first try of the game? Well, an early involvement for the video ref duo that we have here in a multinational effort. We've got Richard Silverwood and Francis Desplat who will adjudicate on this.
Well, the conditions here tonight encourage the players to move the ball wide. England did that well. Gleeson's speed of pass was the key moment, but I don't think this will be scored. No. Great defence by France there in the corner. Cyril Stakoul just pushes Gardner out of play, and I think we'll certainly see this ruled out.
No try is the decision from the video refs. They're in perfect harmony already. Anglo-French, good to see that so early on. And Jason Robinson signals no try, so that was a chance gone begging for England.
I don't think so, really. I mean, it was a chance they had to take. Well, I mean, a chance offered for Gardner. sometimes as a wing, if you back yourself and go for the corner, you'll get in. Other times, you have to credit the defensive effort.
Yeah, the Catalan Dragons winger, Cyril Stackul, did well there, winning his 6th cap for the French. But that's a warning. Aidy Gardner, joint top try scorer in Super League with Scott Donald, 18 tries this season. And the penalty goes against the French. And it was the fullback Trent Clayton. And referee Robinson saying he called held.
Well, the home supporters think it's a bit harsh. He said that he's walked off the mark. The referee had called held, and he went on with the with momentum and movement. Julian Rinaldi taking an explanation from the referee. Well, it's deja vu, isn't it? Sinfield kicked a touch, 20 metres out.
Hold!
It's wrestled to the ground, isn't he, by Peacock? But that's after he'd moved off the mark.
So what can England come up with this time? Roby. Burrow went down the blind side. Leon Price trying to step out of trouble, but the tackle was there from Gregory Muniz. England coming to their left. Burrow back on the inside to Peacock, and Jamie Peacock using his strength, almost getting there, the captain. Roby, Leon Price, Wellens joining in the action, and Gareth Ellis now. Ellis straightening up. Again, it's Muniz with the tackle for the French. Sinfield wrong-footing the first defender. That was Olivier Ellimer, but brought down by the second line of defence. Price trying to go on his own, but again Ellimer is there, and still Leon Price reversing towards the try line, but that'll be the turnover. It's on the last.
Great goal line defence by the French side. Price backed himself on the last one. He just thought he'd show and go and power his way over. In the opening 5 minutes, France have been up to the test. They'll want to get away from this line.
And the penalty goes against the English now for offside. England back in action, of course. Last time out, Great Britain, and that 3-0 series whitewash against the Kiwis, and 16 survivors of that featured here tonight. Just Peter Fox, the only newcomer, and yet to get his hands on the ball, I think, Peter Fox. Now the French have their hands on the ball, and it's a good charging run from Widner's Vikings, Adel Felous. And the crowd find their voice here at the Stade Toulousain as Ellimer is brought down.
France have got to centre field. Thomas Bosch, probably the most creative and dangerous player, finds Eric Anselm.
Anselm is tackled by Sinfield. Here is Bosch again, back on the inside to Sébastien Raguin, his Catalan teammate. Raguin is tackled, once a traffic warden in Toulouse, in fact now full-time of course with Catalan. The ball out wide, Gardner is all over Stackul, nowhere for the winger to go. That's the 5th tackle. They go down the short side, ball comes inside, and then...
Well, some luck for the French, a penalty against England. Offside again at the play. Well, in fact, maybe the marker's not straight. He's trying to get them up to play. And I think, by the way, was this penalty. It's against maybe Gardner and Gleeson for not being straight. So directly in front of the man playing the ball. Well,
looked a bit harsh.
France have had to defend their line. Here's England's turn.
And the French crowd getting behind their side now as Teddy Sadoui of Carcassonne takes that ball in. Harlequins Rinaldi on the ball, Thomas Bosch, and a French player was decked off the ball, and I think it was Felous who's still down, making a bit of a song and dance about it. I think the ball is popped up for Ellimer. He is tackled just short of that try line. Laurent Carrasco playing on his home ground. Carrasco he's with the Toulouse team. Now Anselm, Eric Anselm of Leeds at the moment, just short of that try line.
2 feet on it.
That's the 5th tackle. On the last, there's an English hand in there, is there? It's back to 6, says the referee. Rinaldi passes the ball anyway, and it's Sébastien Raguin who keeps a hold of it. So back to 0 for the French. Big pressure for them at the moment, and Felous is recovered miraculously from that knock. So some defending for England to do early on here now. Peacock with the tackle, assisted by Ellis. Wynne now, the Australian who's been living in France long enough to qualify for this French side. Bosch Here is James Wynne. Wynne with a little step, and Wynne is through for the first try of the game for France. The Lesignan player coach, James Wynne, found a gaping hole in the English defence there. And having been under pressure at the other end, having seen England go close, France take the lead through James Wynne.
Well, John Mooney has always encouraged his halfback to take on the line, step and run at them, put yourself in between bodies, and that's exactly what Wynne does. Too many of the England's defenders around this area are hoping and expecting for the pass to go wide. They're not ready here to do some work. Peacock's already gone past the ball. Senior can't work hard enough on the inside, and it's a brilliant start for France. As Wynne goes over, inside the first 10 minutes, they've had to defend the line. Here's their chance to score, and they've taken it.
Well, that got a special cheer here because James Wynne used to play for Toulouse before going off to take charge of Lesignan. Winning his 8th cap this evening and getting his second international try. His only other try, in fact, came against England in 2006 when France were beaten 26-10 at Headingley.
Well, we're taking a look here at the most accurate goal kicker in Super League, Thomas Bosk. An 88% success rate with his kicks in Super League this year. And his combination with Wynne, I know we've only seen a few minutes of them together, have shown threats on both the left and right hand side of the pitch.
Bosk with the conversion attempt, he's succeeded with that one. Bosk looking as though he's had a bit of a bosh actually, he's got stitches underneath his eye. Here's the try from Wynne.
Well, that's a massively disappointing try to concede. Probably the simplest in rugby league. The man just catches the ball and runs at the line, steps between the defenders, and that has to be a wake-up call for England here.
So French celebrations, and England a warning of what this side is capable of. They showed for half the game last year at Headingley of what they're capable of before England cantered away with it late on. But they've won 3 of the last 5 internationals, the French. They've beaten PNG twice last year. They also beat Scotland, and they, as Phil mentioned earlier on, pushed New Zealand all the way.
Well, again, coming out of their own zone, they've shifted the ball wide to get away from England's strong middle defence. But it's a handling error here from the play of the ball. Thomas Bosk, in fact, is a poor play of the ball, isn't it? Sebastian Regan falls forward. Gregory Muniz indicating to his teammates, look, 1 minute of work, that's why I lifted the big one finger in the air. They have to defend here now. The worst thing possible for France will be to concede immediately after scoring.
So England with a good opportunity to redress the balance here. It's a warm evening, temperature of around 25 degrees still at this time of the night, and coming up to 9 o'clock in the evening here in Toulouse, and Wellens steps past the first line of defence and left Teddy Sadoui for dead there. Here's Sam Burgess, and they're offside of the French.
Well, both sides having a lot of difficulty with the referee in terms of getting back on side with him. Burgess takes the charge forward. The referee was calling out to number 3, Sadoui, you're offside, but he got involved in the tackle. And England gets 6 more plays.
Peacock is tackled just short of the line, and the ball with Burrow. Burrow fires the pass out, and Price pops it up for Ellis. Good defence by the French to meet him there. Sebastian Ragat and Gregory Muniz with the tackle, but here come the English again. Rob Burrow looking for some runners, and Rob Burrow deciding to take him on himself, but he's clamped by Teddy Sadoui.
2 feet. Hold. Go. 3.
The French were nowhere near onside then. They were supposed to be on their own line, but they were miles over it.
I'm going to the post. Hold. Go.
Roby fires the pass out. Burgess, did that go backwards? It did, said the referee. A chance for Fox, and Fox spectacularly in for his first try on his debut, but is it? Another call for the video ref.
Well, it so often happens when the ball goes to ground, the defenders tend to relax. It allowed the English players to pick up possession here, pass it on to Fox. Well, he's maybe outdone Gardner on the right flank. I think he's dived into the corner here and got the ball down. This is a remarkable effort here. Burgess drops the ball. I think perhaps there was a knock on there. I know eventually the ball went backwards, but initially, there's his foot on the line. He grounds the ball in the in-goal area. There's no doubt he grounds the ball cleanly, but it does the left foot touch the touch line.
Peter Fox hoping to mark his international debut with England's first try, but it's going to be a close call, and it's another call for that video ref duo of Silverwood and Desplat. Did his foot touch the whitewash there? Well, they're not looking at that knock on. It's that moment when maybe his foot touched the whitewash.
Well, when you look at it from the front-on angle, I think it convinces you that there will be a try, but then again, from behind, one tends to think, now then, is that a knock-on? I think it was before Burgess kicked it backwards. We've gone back to that incident.
Fox diving in. And Jason Robinson says the try is disallowed. It is the knock-on that they've gone back for. So disappointment for England, but at the same time, evidence that on both flanks they've got opportunities against this French team. Hull Kingston Rovers debutant Peter Fox, he scored a try like that last weekend, in fact. Did exactly the same thing, very bravely getting over in the corner.
Well, we've seen, haven't we, in the first 10 minutes, how Tony Smith's side want to play. It's getting the ball to the wingers when possible and giving them the chance to dive in at corners. Exciting rugby league at this stage. They haven't got any points for it, though.
No, it's the French who are ahead by 6 points to 0.
Markers, hold.
But England have had 2 disallowed now, Gardner and Fox. Ellimer, reception committee for him there. Here's Thomas Bosque,
Held
turning
free.
into something of a star in French rugby league at the moment, Thomas Bosque. Win. That's the fullback, Trent Clayton. Another one,
Hold, go, 4.
beg your pardon, it's Teddy Sadoui who plays the ball.
Held 5.
And Younes Katabi, another debutant in this French side, plays the ball. Win.
Clear.
Deep kick over the head of Wellens, and that'll run away off the very fast track here and run dead.
Well, it wasn't the best possible kick, but in the end it's still got them out of their own half. And when you consider the pressure that is Sinfield that time put on the kicker, it's obviously a key goal of this English side tonight to put pressure on the French kicks whenever possible.
Not great support for England here this evening in France. We've seen 1 or 2 shirts out and about in Toulouse, and I can see a Sheffield Eagles flag on the far side of the field. The Eagles having a good season, of course, in National League One. Here it's England on the attack. This an important game for them. 119 days, we calculate, until England kick off their World Cup campaign in Townsville with that game against PNG.
Play on.
Price,
Not held.
he's playing on, not held, says the referee. A moment hesitation by Leon Price and by the French players. It was Price who reacted first.
Up.
Ellis is tackled, plays the ball. Here's Leon Price again. Burrow, little kick over the top. Fox going for that one, and it's the French who come up with it. It was good work from Younes Katabi as Sam Burgess challenged for the ball.
Surrender.
An outstanding take by Katabi, didn't he? The flow and momentum was with England players running onto the kick from Burrow. But I just thought in the last minute there was a real lift in intensity by the English players. Very direct, hard, strong, direct runs by all of the players, including Price and Wellens.
That was pretty
Yes,
direct.
4. Hold.
Adel Fallouz felt that as the challenge came in on him. Then Olivier Ellimer,
Held 5.
Roby and Ellis with the tackle.
10 here. Hold. Go.
And this is the first time that France have had to kick from within inside their own 30. Territorially, England were winning that arm wrestle, although that's a pretty good kick.
It is, it's the boot of James Wynn, and it's driven Peter Fox all the way back to his own try line, but he's done a good job of returning that ball. Ran into a strong challenge there from Laurent Carrasco, and he felt that, did Peter Fox. Back on his feet, thankfully.
Held 2.
This is a pretty fired-up French side.
Hold. Go.
Similarly important game for them, of course. England do have another World Cup preparatory game. They've got Wales in early October.
Hold.
This is the only game France will have, their only real competitive match before their campaign starts. Sinfield, good work from him, great ball from Sinfield for Roby. Roby has got Price on his shoulder. Price will get the try under the post. Great work from England. Leon Price with the try. But what a build-up from Sinfield and Roby. Price on the receiving end of it. And he gets his 8th international try in the colours of Great Britain and or England. And this was good build-up work.
Well, it was a bit of a hybrid of a Leeds and St Helens try, wasn't it? Leeds players keeping the ball alive, intermixing with St Helens ones as well along the way, and Roby then finding his teammate Leon Price, who supports so well down the centre of the field. This try, I thought, came about 2 or 3 minutes earlier when England's defence was so aggressive that France started to say, hey, what's going on here? They only kept 25-metre gain. By the time they kicked the ball, they were already defending again, and Price has made them pay. 6 points here for England, I'm sure. Look at that. It's good ability to keep the ball alive in the tackle. A hallmark of Tony Smith's coaching over the last 5 years in Britain, and evidenced by so many players on show here tonight.
And Kevin Sinfield with this conversion attempt. A bittersweet evening for Kevin Sinfield, playing for his country. Of course, there's no prouder moment, but his record of scoring in consecutive games for Leeds is surely going to bite the dust this weekend. 63 games it is now, but there is no way he's going to get on the plane and turn out against the Castleford Tigers tomorrow evening. Or is there? It is feasible, but his mind is very much on this evening's game and on landing the 2 points here, and he does that successfully.
Most people in rugby league think that Rob Burrows should be England's scrum half, and I agree with that. But what you then need, and what is probably sometimes don't realise about the Leeds team, is that Kevin Sinfield provides the voice and direction for that side. Here he's involved in the play. He sends the direction of the team where he thinks it needs to go. Brilliant at following the coach's instructions, and probably the most multi-talented player in view for England tonight. Leon Price, well, his support play has risen to another level. He's moved up 20% in his performances this year.
And obviously not showing any after effects of that bang that forced him off the field in the last Saints game. 6-6 the scoreline then here in Toulouse between France and England. And England, a try for Gardner, a try for Fox, disallowed, but absolutely no doubt about that try for Leon Price.
Move! Markers!
And there was even applause, grudging applause, appreciative applause from the French for that try.
Well, I know Tony Smith sees this as vital preparation for England to take on Papua New Guinea and Townsville. And with the temperature, as you say, over 25 degrees at this time of night, it's about the closest he can get to recreating that atmosphere in northern Queensland for the opening World Cup game.
And England disappointed by that decision from Jason Robinson, saying there was a knock-on. Surely there was a hand in there from Olivier Elima. There's Maxime Gressec, Jérôme Guisset, two of the injured French players, and they're even debating that decision. But it's the referee's call, head and feet to the French, so immediately they are on the attack and in a very strong position. England having to defend again. They've had the upper hand just in the last few minutes, but now defending their own line. Eric Anselm of Albi, but on loan at the Leeds Rhinos at the moment, is tackled by his current teammate Jamie Peacock. Thomas Bosk, Wynne pops the ball up. Rinaldi clattered as he got that ball. Bosk back on the inside to Ragan.
Go.
Here's Wynne. Here is Rinaldi. Rinaldi ghosting along the line. Good ball from him. I think there was a hand in there from England, was there, or did it just go backwards? It's no signal from the referee. That is the fifth tackle. So Rinaldi goes down the short side, puts an angled kick in, but nobody on the same wavelength, thankfully for England, because I'm not sure they were on that wavelength either. That was very smart football from Julien Rinaldi.
That's a brilliant kick, isn't it? Against the flow of play, he just needed some of those blue jerseys, as you can see in the middle of the screen, to be pushing forward on this kick. That's wonderful play from he got the quick play of the ball. That's why France looks so dangerous. And Roby has been adjudged to have taken the ball over the dead ball line. France should get 6 more tackles here.
Teddy Sadoui was breathing down their necks. That's why they had to make sure that ball was dead. So pressure now on the England line. This game really going to and fro. Rinaldi of the Harlequins to Catalan Dragons, Thomas Bosk. And then Adel Falou is tackled. Wynne maybe fancies his chances for another one then. I really think he was sizing up the situation, but that time England weren't going to let him run free. Here is Bosk again. Bosk pops a little ball up. Muniz is tackled. Here's Bosk again. Wynne. Eric Anselm tried to offload, and Keith Senior gratefully swoops on that.
Well, it was a very good tackle by Rob Burrow. When he's faced with a bigger man, he just gets low, hits them hard, and the strength in his legs has driven him backwards and driven the ball into England's possession.
Gardner.
I wonder just now whether the heat's starting to take an effect. England players just stood a little bit bunched together. It's one-man runs from dummy half.
Oh, Gleeson has lost that one. Play on, says the referee. And England have it back. It went backwards, he said, and The French crowd, well, they were unhappy before. They're going to be absolutely furious now because he's now given a penalty against the French.
Said that the markers aren't square. Gleeson goes through the gap. It's stripped in a one-on-one tackle, by which point it is play on, I think. Olivier Elimar pulls the ball free. Carrasco's involved. Ronaldo's been explained, receives an explanation from the referee. And again, for the third time, Sinfield from that part of the field puts the ball to touch, 20 metres out. Third time here now from a trap close to opponent's line. This is the most common way in which a try is scored in rugby league.
4-2, the penalty count in England's favour at the moment. This latest one puts them in a good attacking position. Did Burgess play that ball correctly? Well, here's Leon Price. Price, Wellens, Gleeson in for the try and trying to make it even better. And again, France pay the price for that. The England fans, on the far side in the sunshine, celebrating. Very classy try, that one.
Well, it's a great pass, isn't it? 3-4 passes quick out to Gleeson. France's defence cannot get there in time. Bosque is fooled, really, outpaced and outplaced by Martin Gleeson, who puts himself outside. It shows the ball, fends him off, and then tries to make the kick that a little bit easier by bringing him close. But I really think it was a feature. Rob Burrow running direct at the line. It stopped the early slide of this French defence and allowed the time and space for Gleeson to work his magic. When he's on form, perhaps the best centre in the world.
His first international for something like 4 years for Martin Gleeson. He's got 20 Great Britain caps, but this is his first full England cap. He's played for England A, but first full England appearance. Of course, England, or Great Britain, reverting to England for this World Cup. This new kit that Kevin Sinfield is wearing, apparently proving very popular with the supporters, and one or two of them wearing it out here this evening. Launched at Castle Bolton in North Yorkshire. Last week it was, in a suitably Gothic setting. Sinfield with this conversion attempt, and he's missed with that one. But England ahead now by 10 points to 6.
Well, France's fear in the middle has meant that the compressed defence has made life too hard for Regan, Bosque, and Gleeson makes that look so easy. But the passes on the inside at pace, with the accuracy that they were delivered, just made that so possible. And John Mooney looks on, the coach of France, alongside Gilles Dumas, one of the legendary players from the 70s and 80s.
And John Mooney saying to us before the game that a crucial element of France's performance tonight was going to be their discipline. Well, they might. Julien Rinaldi obviously not agreeing with some of those decisions, but they've conceded 4 penalties already.
What's really interesting when you look towards the World Cup is the referees' decisions. Both England and France have been confused and maybe caught out at times by some of the decisions from the referee, as Morley attempts an offload, lost possession.
Jamil Fakir on the field, and his first job is to swoop on that ball, and Remy Casti is out there as well, another Catalan player, and Remy Casti has had a good season so far for the Dragon. And here goes Jamil Fakir in the crowd like that from the big man.
Oh, stay on it.
A boom from the crowd as he took that ball in. Here's the fullback, Trent Clayton. Clayton still going. Price with the tackle.
Move! Markers. Go. 3.
Thomas Bosque. Here's Gregory Muniz. And a penalty goes against England.
Well, Burgess in the tackle on Fakir. I think Fakir's third carry in this set. He's really gotten involved heavily since coming off the bench.
2 in the tackle. Jason Robinson right there. I'm not so sure that Sam Burgess knew a lot about that, but the ball ended up in his hands. Wynne pops the pass up, and Eric Anselm takes the pass.
Go.
England on their own try line. It's with Teddy Sadoui. Sadoui still going, coming back in field. Good defence from England to drive him back away from the try line.
Hold. Go.
So France immediately responding.
Back.
And the ball went backwards, said the referee. It's picked up by Wynne again.
Move. Hold.
England on their own try line. Bosque. Raga.
Held 5.
That's the 5th tackle. They're right in front of those posts. What's the kick going to be like from Bosque? Fires the ball back inside. Fakir couldn't take the pass. And another penalty.
Well, this is a massive chance for France here to come up with their second try. England's defence has been strong. Look at Ellis and Peacock on the inside, covering those plays. Bosque goes at the line, turns it back inside. He's well covered, but they'll get 6 more chances. An interesting tactic by John Mooney to introduce all 4 of his substitutes at the same time.
And I think Jason Robinson's decision there was that Jamil Fakir was tackled without the ball. But
Go for goal.
and Thomas Bosk going for goal. Is that the wise choice? They've got England on the rack. Well, if not on the rack, they've got them.
They just had
in
10
their own
consecutive
territory.
tackles, haven't they? They're defending the line. Thomas Bosk, I don't know what he's arguing with Fakir. Fakir just wants to run the ball. Look at that.
Well, when you've been out of the game
Heated
as long
debate.
as when you've been out of the game as long as Jamil Fakir has done, you probably want every chance you can to get your hands on it. He's had a miserable couple of years with a succession of knee problems, and only made 2 substitute appearances for the Dragons in 2007. So he's having a bit of a better season, and he wants it to continue. But it's going to continue with Thomas Bosk taking this kick at goal.
Well, Fakir is a crowd pleaser because of the impact he brings, the runs he provided. He made 1 or 2 massive runs against Wigan recently down there for the Catalan Dragons that the whole crowd get excited about.
So Bosk with this penalty opportunity to narrow the gap. France 8, England 10, the scoreline. The English contingent here, Richard Lewis, the executive chairman, in the crowd.
Well, here's Oregon, some of the penalties that have been awarded towards the French side.
Not so sure that was the incident. It came when Fakir couldn't get the pass. That was, I think, what Jason Robinson gave that one for. So France narrow the gap, and Sinfield restarts.
You know what's interesting? France only had 1 man then on the 10-metre line. I know they've knocked on here from the kickoff. Is it Katabi?
It's Younes Katabi who is furious.
Again, though,
with
what a
himself.
great kick. Kevin Sinfield, he's almost like a world-class golfer in where he's able to put the ball awkwardly bouncing in front of the man. He's no other option really there than throw a leg at it by the time he gets there, arms in the air, and from conceding 2 points, they're now back upfield and looking like scoring.
Here is Leon Price. Price for Paul Wellens. Wellens tackled on the French 10-metre line.
Oh!
Roby now. Ellis. Peacock. Right in front of those posts. The England captain is tackled. Burrow now. James Graham was there in support, but here is Sam Burgess. Burgess stretching out. Whoa, and again, a busy night for these video refs. I hope they're getting on in this truck.
Well, we're about 60 metres away, but I think Sam Burgess has scored here. His body positioning's great. He's kept the ball up, good grip. Look, that is a wonderful try from a man who's had little possession, but the little he has scored 4 points here. He's whacked 1 or 2 people when they've carried the ball. His defence has been strong, very aggressive, and that really is a world-class finish. If you want to win the World Cup at the end of the year, you need players who can score tries like that. Little arm, 3 or 4 men around him, and the presence to keep the ball high in the air, good grip on the ball, and as the bodies crumble down on top of him, he grounds it well.
Well, Sam Burgess got a try on his Great Britain debut in the first test against the Kiwis, the 2014 win last year. Look at the effort he's putting in there, and then the presence of mind to know that he's still got the option.
Well, it's where England have looked most dangerous. They have been strong in the middle, but when they've moved the ball wide towards the touchlines, centres, wingers, and even a wide back rower here in Sam Burgess have shown perhaps the frailty of France tonight. It will be out 2 and 3 men wide of the play of the ball. And I don't think there's much doubt. I don't think that angle confirms anything, but the one from front on does.
So has Sam Burgess got his second international try? That's the decision awaited from the video refs, Richard Silverwood and Francis Desplat, having yet another look at it. Can't be that much doubt
Well,
about
maybe there's
this.
obstruction with Keith Senior getting involved in James Wynne. He does actually make contact with him. That's another option.
That's the first.
He's gone through in front of the man with the ball.
Where was that, mate?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think Jason Robinson just wondering where that was. Well spotted, and I think this one's going to be disallowed.
Touch penalty.
And it's a penalty to the French for obstruction.
About there.
Well, so often many teams use that, don't they? They have to put the ball behind an option runner. But it's the emphasis on the option runner, Keith Senior, to avoid contact with the defenders.
Well, I tell you, Tony Smith, the England coach, has had a view of one of the monitors up here in the commentary area, had a very good look at that and was not impressed by that decision, it's fair to say. So that is a let-off for the French. Casti. Sam Burgess denied. Maury Fasavalu involved in the action. England ahead by 10 points to 8.
Back here, hold.
Jason Robinson making sure England get the distance, and here's Jamil Fakir again, taking 3 of them with him. Well, two in the end.
Well, it lifts the crowd. Can it lift his teammates? Boss now, quick pass on to Anselm. Keith Senior has done very well. Wide on the left-hand side, he has Rob Burrow outside him, but this side seems safe from England's perspective.
Pierre Sabati, the Villeneuve player, plays that ball, and then Bosk hoists the kick, and Adi Gardner will be under a bit of pressure. The chasers are there, and Gardner kept his eyes on the ball superbly. There were 3 French players closing him down, and he didn't flinch, and Gardner was rock solid underneath that.
I suppose wingers have 3 jobs, don't they? To take high balls under pressure, to score tries at the other end, and then to make meters. Here's Fox doing one of those 3. Gardner's shown that he's certainly safe under the kicks, carried the ball well. And Graham, who in my opinion has been the best player in British Super League for the last 2 months. He's been outstanding.
And here is his club colleague Maury Fasavalu, and he ducked under a swinging arm there from, I think it was Remy Casti, and bounced off, and off he went again.
Well, that's about the first time in the month that he hasn't scored with his first touch on the field. He usually comes on and makes an impact.
Charge down from Leon Price, and Remy Casti cuts inside, and Price comes back to bring him down. He didn't have the pace, Casti. Another player maybe, and they would have capitalised on that, but Remy Casti wasn't able to, and that was a bit of a let-off for the English for the moment, and then England are offside once again.
I was going to say, England's recovery was very good. I know they've been penalised for offside, but they seem to have a lot of white shirts back close to that try line. Boss just kicks the ball out of play. There's real energy now and speed about France.
Well, it was a close first half when these two met at Headingley last June. Great Britain running out comfortable winners in the end, but 16-10 it was at half-time, and France very much in it at that stage then, and they're making England work hard here this evening as Dupont, I think, charges that one in. Here is James Wynne. Wynne to Jamil Fakir again.
Don't drag him down. Release.
And Jason Robinson certainly barking out the instructions to the players. They can't complain that they weren't told. And here's Eric Anselm. 4 tackles gone. And here's Wynne. Wynne just had to stumble to get that ball, lost a bit of momentum. Ellis, good tackle on Thomas Bosk. Right in front of those posts, that's the 5th tackle. Here's Wynne once more, stabs a little kick in. Gardner, and in the end it's Wellens who has to make sure that one's diffused. Another great kick.
It was a good kick by France. They didn't offer very much with possession, and I thought England looked particularly comfortable here defensively. Although as the temperature stays at this level and England have to continue to defend, eventually gaps will appear. Paul Wellens can't find the ball.
Well, that's probably very much to their liking. Another breather. Referee calls time off. England have had a couple of days in Toulouse, and yesterday was very hot and muggy, and in fact the day ended with a pretty spectacular electrical thunderstorm by all accounts. Today has just been hot and sunny. Here's Jamil Fakir again. Reception committee from the English to make sure he doesn't do so much damage this time. James Wynne. Bosk. Bosk pops the ball up, and it's Sebastian Ragin who's brought down. Gleeson it was with the tackle. Here's Remy Casti. Virtual ever present for the Catalan Dragons this season, missed only 1 game from 20 for the Dragons. Casti. Muniz with a little darting run, and he's knocked that ball on. Reprieve for England.
And I think applause all around for England from their own players anyway. They're happy with this defensive effort. Muniz goes towards the line. Very much a Catalan-style player there. They'll run and then look for the short pass for a big forward to crash over. But England's defence was strong in the middle, and in fact looked very well organised out wide. I think defensively, with the exception of the Wynne try, there haven't been any gaps at all in the white line.
Well, yeah, James Wynne scoring that try, the first of the game, putting the French 6-0 up early on. England maybe just caught a little bit cold. You can't be caught cold on a night when the temperature is still 25 degrees, but just a bit of a sluggish start, and Wynne capitalised on that, but they've got to grips with this game, and a great run. Oh, the hand in there as Roby tried to offload that ball, and Murray Fasavalu has lost it. It's gone backwards, says the referee. Well, it went forwards at some stage.
Well, the referee says it was played up, but what an injection of pace from James Roby. Just after 3 dummy half runs, backs in there, bang, he's out of there, he's hit half into that gap and looks for the pass back to Gardner on the inside, or even Graham. There's a knock on then, Wellens waiting for possession. I think England just happy here with a breather for 30 seconds.
Well, both teams just grateful of a little pause in the game, as I think it's Remy Casti who is being treated. One of the French kinesthetics on the field to just treat the player who's able to resume. And England in possession. Here is Gleeson. Also on the score sheet tonight, Martin Gleeson plays that ball. And Maury Fasavalu now. Fasavalu tackled by Vincent Duport. James Graham now. Graham, Sinfield on his shoulder. Sinfield too to bring him down. Rob Burrow now. Burrow finds Burgess again. Denied that try short time ago, Sam Burgess. Half an hour gone here. England ahead by 10 points to 8. Roby, Burrow now. Burrow finds Maury Fasavalu, bounces off the first challenge, gets the ball away well. Here's Roby again at the heart of things for England. 5 tackles gone. Burrow, what's the kick going to be like? He's just hoisted that one out wide. Gardner will challenge for it. Gardner went for it. The ball's popped up, but it was knocked on by Adi Gardner, I suspect.
Well, we talked about England looking tired, perhaps when they had to defend their line. Here's the kick from Rob Burrow. It's a brave effort from Gardner, but with that right arm, unlikely to take it in. He's trying to knock it back for Ellis, but France are absolutely gasping here for Muslim walking as the kick hung in there, just hopeful that they wouldn't have to defend again.
Well, of course, the Catalan Dragons contingent are in week-by-week competition, but there are several players out there, James Wynne, Trent Clayton, Laurent Carrasco, who haven't played for several weeks.
No, and it's probably after about 30 minutes and the adrenaline and emotion of the event has drifted from your body that you do start to feel it. And remember that at this level, England have been unrelenting. Bosk here, early kick in the tackle count. He wants to be at this end of the field.
Gardner keeps his eye on that ball and then finds Wellens. And Wellens plays the ball, yeah. The French elite season ending a few weeks ago. Lesignan taking the title. James Wynne's team, in fact. Fox.
I think we've certainly got some points here before half-time. Wilkin now takes the ball forward.
Well, that's good defence from the French, and the crowd like that as John Wilkin was clattered by Pierre Sabati. Ellis, good ball, finds Maury Fasavalu. Fasavalu did well to take that pass because he had Remy Casti all over him, and Price, for the first time tonight, going on a run. Gets the ball away well. Price finds Roby. Roby finds Burrow. 5 tackles gone for the English. And James Roby goes on a run. He'll chase it himself. So will Trent Clayton, the fullback, and it'll beat them all. Or will it? Well, good work from Roby. Great work from Roby there.
You know, there's some people who think that James Roby is just an impact player, a substitute. I think he can play 80 minutes and play at this pace and level. That's a brilliant kick. Look, he's gone on to the level. Leon Price picks it up, runs from dummy half, and France and Bosk and Ronaldo do well to hold him. But they'll only hold him for one more play before they then force the goal line drop out in the shape through James Roby. And I think the England teammates, here, look at the carry, offload there to Fasavalu. I think there are points in the next 5 minutes. Can they come England's way?
Yes, England would like to get some daylight between themselves and the French before that half-time hooter sounds. There's only 2 points in it at the moment. Wilkin plays the ball. It's with Burrow now, via Sinfield. Burrow, scampering run from him. Ellis was hoping there'd be somebody on his shoulder there. There wasn't anybody. Roby. Here's Price. Price, dummy to James Graham. Takes the tackle himself. The French on their own goal line, 3 tackles gone. Roby pops it up for Graham. The Saints combination, he tries to stretch out. He can't do so. Price, Wilkin, Sinfield back in field for Maury Fassavalou, and Fassavalou will get the try, and he wants to improve that. He'll do so, and spot on, Phil. More points for the English from the adopted Englishman, Maury Fassavalou. And again, great passing there from the English.
Well, some of the French players look as though they need oxygen at this stage. England pressed hard here. It's tough conditions for them, but they didn't relax. They haven't felt sorry for themselves. And what about the passing here? You need a variety of different players to be able to score tries. That's a very difficult pass to execute. When running towards the left-hand touchline, to pass the ball backwards as a legal pass to Fassavalou is incredibly hard. And Kevin Sinfield probably does it better than anybody else in our game. Wonderful ball to Fassavalou. And just look at the French players, hands on the knees. Oh, they can't wait for the half-time hooter. Can England punish them more before we get that?
He's in great form at the moment, Maury Fassavalou. 4 in a row, 4 tries in a row for St Helens. And that's 5 games in a row he's scored now with that try for England just before half-time, which Kevin Sinfield will surely improve with this trusty boot of his. 16 international goals to his credit. That's another one. And Tony Smith, instructions downstairs.
Well, if you look back over the last 5 years, one of the differences between England or Great Britain and Australia and New Zealand was the impact that the 4 players from the subs bench could provide. In Fassavalou, we have one of the best in the world. He times the run, waits patiently, and then gets out. Anselm goes with a one-handed effort for an interception. He was never going to get there, and England needed the 4 points.
And the England coach will be satisfied with that.
Stay behind.
Knew it was going to be a tough test. Was hoping it was going to be a tough test for his side. They need that ahead of the World Cup. They've still got the Wales game to come, of course. It's October the 10th at the Keepmoat Stadium. It'll be Wales under a new coach, of course, in John Dixon.
And this is the test for them now. Can they press again at international level, up the speed and intensity, and score a back-to-back try? Wilkin finding Sinfield. It's hard to offload, though, with Fakir all over him.
Marcus. Hold.
Remy Casti putting himself about. John Wilkin felt that tackle that took him out. Peacock
Back
just
here.
edging his way towards the halfway line. Roby sizing up the opportunities, finds Burrow. Burrow will kick into the corner, turning Younis Katabi. Across comes the fullback, Trent Clayton, adopted Toulousain. And Clayton runs it back, but Fox is there to make the tackle. The Hull Kingston Rovers man, the one newcomer in this side tonight for the English.
Well, it was an excellent kick. It's trapped them in the corner. Look, their emphasis now from players like Wilkin and Graham. They want to push hard. They want to contain any momentum that France can build, even force an error.
So the French looking a little bit sluggish now. Vincent Duport tackled, still inside their own 40, and Bosque will kicks downfield. Wellens returns it. Hands off the first one. Deceptively strong, Paul Wellens. He's looks such a light running figure, but he packs a punch, does the Saints full-back. So does his wing colleague, Adi Gardner.
There's been some excellent support runs. At times the ball hasn't gone to him, but Gleeson followed Gardner, Burrow followed Peacock, and that's a positive sign for England here now to support the man with the ball back on the inside. But this time France knock on again, looking for that inside pass to Fassavalou. Jess Robinson knows.
And Jamie Peacock quickly in there, asking Jason Robinson, is that our head and feed? And then saying, like, let's get this scrum pack down. We want to continue the pressure before this first half ends.
And that time it was Sabati who got involved and took possession. They couldn't take it cleanly. And I tell you, where Tony Smith and Great Britain were impressive last year was attacking from scrums. Here's a great opportunity. Wide to Price.
Price then for Gleeson. Gleeson just a little step and almost wrong-footed Jamil Fakir. Jamie Peacock. Peacock running strongly. The French clinging onto his ankles. It was Remy Casti making the tackle. Burrow fires the pass up for Wilkin, and Wilkin still going. That was forward, says the referee, assisted by the touch judge, Jose Ferreira. on this near side.
Well, I think relief for the French supporters. They didn't really want to have to stand this much longer. Perhaps it does go forward. France are literally hanging on at this point. But the variety of attack from England is very, very encouraging, isn't it? We've got Burrow creating play, Roby, Price, Sinfield. Great mix.
Out.
England's last visit here 30 years ago, and they won that one 13 points to 11, but they have tasted defeat on this ground. 1970. They lost 14-9. So Toulouse has been a tricky ground for visiting Great Britain and English sides down the years, but England at the moment ahead by 16 points to 8 as half-time approaches. France, though, in possession on the halfway line. Rinaldi of the Harlequins in action, of course, at Wigan this evening. Rinaldi puts the kick in. Fox came off his legs. Jason Robinson very clear with his instructions out there. None of them in French.
16.
Here is Wellens. Gardner in off his wing. Cannons into a couple of French players. And here's James Graham. Graham, 3 tackles gone as Casti brings him to ground, assisted by Eric Anselm. Burrow, Maury Fassavalou.
It's great to keep your eye on Leon Price. He just wakes almost like a cobra to strike in the set. Here he's taking it forward. But France's defence strong enough in the middle.
I think that could catch on, you know, the Cobra. Expect to hear more of that as Burrow puts the kick in. Almost wrong foots Bosque. And the French looking very, very weary. They're trudging back. Who wants this? Anybody wants it? Well, it's Younes Katabi in the end who shows up. And the hooter sounds. And relief for the French, satisfaction, I'd imagine, for the English. A bit of a shaky start, going behind early on with that James Wynn try after only 8 minutes, but the longer the first half has gone on, the better England have got. Price, Gleeson and Fassavalou, the try scorers, and half-time, England head for a well-earned breather, 16-8 ahead.